Hi, I'm Mrs. Prouty, and today I'm going to show you how to make a chocolate lava cake in a mug. And I've got my Sydney mug here. It's a nice big one, so I can make a chocolate cake in it. I've got my ingredients, I've got my equipment, I've washed my hands, I've put on my apron, and I've gotten permission to be in the kitchen. So let's get started. First of all, we're going to take our equipment. I've got tablespoons here. And this is a capital, the recipe says 4 capital T flour, so that means a tablespoon. So I'm going to take my flour, and I got my tablespoon, and it says to take 4 tablespoons. So I've got a nice big heap on my tablespoon, but I'm going to level it off with the backside of my knife, and I'm putting it in the mug. So that's 1, and then this is 2. I got it nice and level so that we're not cheating. We don't need any more ingredients. As this is our science lab, we got to make sure we're precise in what we do in measuring. So this is 4. Then it says to take 2 tablespoons of cocoa. So I'm going to take my cocoa, and then I'm going to dip my spoon in there, again having my level, my knife, backside. 1 and 2. Make sure I get it all out. And then it says to take 2 tablespoons of sugar. So I'm going to have my sugar. And I'm going to I have my towel here. I'm going to just clean off the backside of my spoon so I don't get my sugar bowl all full of cocoa. So that's 1. And then this is 2. I don't want any gaps. There you go. I got 2 tablespoons of sugar, 4 tablespoons of flour, 2 tablespoons of of cocoa. And now it says a half a teaspoon of baking powder. And the T is with a small t. That means it's a half a teaspoon. So I'm going to take my baking powder, and I'm going to take, again, my back side of the knife. I've got a nice big heap, but I'm going to level it off and put it inside my cup. Now it says a pinch of salt. None of these say pinch. So what that means is you take a little bit of salt in your palm of your hand, and then you take your 2 fingers, and it's a pinch. Salt just gives it a little bit more of a pizzazz in your cake instead of being flat. Now you're going to take your fork, and you're going to mix all those ingredients up so the cocoa is mixed in with the flour, and there's no white flour showing, and the baking powder is nicely mixed in so that we have it all put together. Now the next part of the recipe says wet ingredients. So the wet ingredients, again, it calls for 3 tablespoons of milk. So I got my tablespoon. Now, instead of measuring it right over my mug, I might have an accident and overspill. So I'm going to go over a bowl, and I've got 1 tablespoon and put it into the center of my dry ingredients. And this is 2, and this is 3. All right. See, I poured, so I got the extras in here and not in my cake. So the next one is 3 tablespoons of oil. So I'm gonna use just whatever oil you have at home. This one's a vegetable oil, and I need 3 tablespoons of oil. So this is 1, 2, 3. Very good. Now the next ingredient is an egg, and an egg kind of comes under as a wet ingredient. It does play a special role in our cake, and you'll see that in the science slide that I'll show you later. So I'm going to crack it on the side of the bowl. I take both thumbs and I open it up and I put it into the bowl. Now, if you get a part of a shell in there, you use the shell itself and scoop it out, because the shell tends to stick to its own, to the shell itself. So now the recipe says whisk. What does whisk mean? Well, I'm going to take my fork, and it means to take the bowl in one hand and the fork in another, and you kind of go like a tornado around and around to break up the yolk so that it's all well mixed together as one, so it's scooped like that. So now I can pour it into the mug, and checking your recipe twice. This is the end of all the ingredients for the moment. And you're gonna mix it up really well, stirring slowly at first because it is powder. And you wanna make sure you get into the crack of the mug itself. So go around the whole circumference of the mug and making sure all the dry ingredients are mixed in and you don't have any lumps left. And I'm still finding white flour in the bottom of that mug there. So the fork is scooping it in, and now it looks like a nice, moist, sticky, and it's called a batter. So this is our batter. Now try not to get it around the edges of your cup. And you know what? Because I've washed my hands, my fingers are fine to use to get your fork totally clean, and then put it aside. And I've got my rag. Now it says, this is optional, but you know, the lava, what you really want is the lava to be really moist and wet. So I have some dark chocolate, and I've got 2 squares, and I'm gonna plop them just on top in the center of my batter. Now, if you don't have chocolate, you might have a bar of Cadbury's around, the milk chocolate, and this one has fruit and nut in it. Or you might have some Nutella, so you could use some Nutella. Or perhaps you might have peanut butter. Or some of you might have some raspberry jam. And that, again, just use a tablespoon of Nutella or peanut butter or the jam and place it into the center. And then, before you put it in the microwave, you just take a spoonful of, like a tablespoon of water, and you drizzle it over the top. And now it's ready to go into the microwave. Now microwaves have different wattages. My one at home is 1200 wattages. And so 60 seconds is a good amount of time. This one I'm using here is only 900 watts. So I'm going to still put it at 60 seconds, and then we're going to take it out and I'll show you what it looks like. If it's still too gooey, we'll put it for 15 to 20 seconds more. Again, this is a science experiment for you. Every microwave does it a little bit differently. So this is what we're going to do now. Hi, I'm back. I took it out of the microwave after 75 seconds. Note that I've taken the handle of the mug because it's hot. You can see that it has raised, but it hasn't come over the cup. And you can also see with it has bubbles on top, and it's pulled away from the edge of the cup, meaning that it's finished. So now I'm going to let it sit for at least 2 minutes. I know you're tempted to eat it now, but after 2 to 5 minutes, you can put your spoon right into the center where the lava is, and you'll see it burst out. Enjoy eating the chocolate lava cake made in a mug in 75 seconds or less, and enjoy eating it.